General Hospital spoilers tease that Wednesday, May 7th, is about to deliver seismic shift after seismic shift at Port Charles, and you won't want to blink. From stinging confrontations to desperate pleas, from power plays to life-or-death emergencies, the next episode promises to rattle every core character, none more so than the embattled Spencer, Corinthos, Davis clan, and their closest allies. Buckle up as loyalties fracture, secrets erupt, and hearts hang in the balance. It begins with Lucky Spencer poised like a champion at Alexis Davis's side. In the hushed corridors of General Hospital, Alexis has been fighting both external threats and her own regrets. Lucky, her steadfast son, steps into the fray once again, determined that his mother will not face her enemies alone. He reminds her, and anyone within earshot, that Christina Corinthos Davis's recent behavior has crossed the line from mischief into sheer recklessness. His voice is measured, but the urgency rings clear. Christina's actions, fueled by desperation and raw emotion, have hurt more people than she imagines. "I won't stand by while she tears you down," Lucky declares, placing a firm hand on Alexis's shoulder. It's a moment that carries the weight of every danger Alexis has endured, from courtroom showdowns to blackmail attempts, and in that single gesture, Lucky offers a promise of protection born of love and fierce loyalty. Alexis's eyes glisten with gratitude, even as the words slice Christina's reputation to ribbons. Deep down, Christina knows Lucky is right. Her impulsiveness, fueled by pride and shame, has driven her to rash decisions. When Christina hears Lucky's indictment, cries that she's been doing crazy stuff and making irreparable mistakes, her initial reaction is volcanic fury. How dare her brother judge her? How dare he stand by her absent mother, Alexis, instead of understanding Christina's pain? But as the adrenaline ebbs, clarity emerges. In the stillness of her fury, Christina recognizes the truth in Lucky's words. She has been lashing out not out of malice, but a desperate bid to control a world that seems to be spinning ever faster out of her grasp. Determined to make amends, Christina tracks down Alexis in her hospital wing. The air crackles as mother and daughter lock eyes, Alexis poised in her professional mantle of confidence, Christina bearing the weight of guilt and fear. Without hesitation, Christina lowers her head and utters a simple, yet earth-shattering apology. "I'm sorry, Mom." The words carry a vulnerability that Alexis hasn't heard in years, and they unlock a moment of fragile intimacy between them. Alexis's relief is immediate. Her hardened edge softens as she embraces Christina, whispering reassurances of unconditional love. Yet in her warmth, Alexis commits a grave misstep. She reveals to Christina the crushing reality that someone has been blackmailing her. She confesses the identity of the extortionist remains unknown, her own pride having delayed exposing the scheme until now. Christina's heart clenches at the news. Her apology transforms into fierce determination. Now, more than ever, she senses a chance to protect her mother and redeem herself. Without a moment's pause, Christina steels herself, vows to unmask the blackmailer, and storms out to hunt down the culprit. Within minutes, Christina zeroes in on Alexis's tormentor. The chase blurs into a whirlwind of shadowed hallways and adrenaline-fueled footsteps as Christina corners the blackmailer, a nameless figure who has thrived on Alexis's fear. In a swift, shocking attack, Christina unleashes her pent-up fury, driving the assailant back with clenched fists and scathing words. The strike is fierce, a physical manifestation of all her shame and hurt, but in the heat of the moment, Christina realizes the line she's poised to cross. As her attacker crumples, Christina's conscience screams, "Is this justice or vengeance gone too far?" Before she can dwell on the answer, the echo of alarms pierces the air. Security floods the corridor. Christina bolts, adrenaline still coursing, determined to disappear into the night before the fallout begins. She knows Alexis will be proud and horrified in equal measure. Meanwhile, Back in Alexis's suite of allies, Diane Miller paces like a caged animal. Having learned of Alexis's latest misfortune, Diane storms into Alexis's office, eyes ablaze with maternal exasperation. "What on earth possessed you to confide in Christina about that?" she demands. Her voice trembles between fury and fear. If Christina misuses that knowledge, Alexis could be in deeper trouble than ever. Alexis squares her shoulders, steeling herself for Diane's scold. But Diane's words cut deeper than reproach. They carry the weight of professional despair. "You're playing with fire," Diane snaps, "and when you get burned, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." The rebuke stings Alexis, dredging up memories of every gamble she's taken, every time her compassionate heart put her in harm's way. In that moment, Alexis realizes that Diane's anger is rooted not in derision, but in desperate concern. Still, the cautionary words echo, "Some mistakes leave scars too deep to heal." No sooner has Diane stormed out than Brad Cooper makes one of the darkest decisions of his life. Pressured by Drew Kane's relentless pursuit of the truth, Brad reluctantly accepts a hefty sum in exchange for incriminating testimony. Having wrestled with his conscience, Brad knows this betrayal will shatter Portia Robinson's trust and perhaps destroy her. But the money is too sweet and the threat too potent. He arranges a clandestine meeting in an unused wing of the hospital, hands trembling as he slides the envelope across the table to an unseen figure. Within moments, Drew emerges from the shadows, his expression a mixture of triumph and dread. He confronts Brad, forcing the confession. Brad was the one who supplied Portia with ketamine, the very substance that nearly cost her career, her reputation, and her freedom. The revelation clangs like a gavel in the empty corridor, Brad's betrayal laid bare. Armed with this explosive information, Drew storms to Portia's bedside. Portia, still reeling from her own medical crisis and the shock of Brad's treachery, barely recognizes Drew's fury. "Was this your plan all along?" Drew demands, voice laced with both accusation and anguish. "Did you and Tracy Quartermain set me up, or did you have another ally?" His eyes burn. He needs a confession, an explanation, anything to make sense of the labyrinth of deception he's stumbled into. Portia's panic surges. She conjures images of Tracy lurking behind every curtain, orchestrating this tangled web of betrayal. Yet the truth is more twisted. Nina Reeves has been working with Portia to undermine Drew's credibility, feeding him half-truths while keeping the real puppet strings hidden. Portia opens her mouth to speak, only to clamp it shut, afraid of fracturing whatever fragile trust remains between her and Drew. As Drew storms away, the unspoken acknowledgement hangs between them. Portia's silence is a ticking time bomb. Their relationship, once a sanctuary for both, now teeters on the edge of ruin, set to explode in flames of anger and heartache. In another corner of Port Charles, a different alliance teeters on the brink of implosion. Rick Lansing sits alone in his private office, the walls echoing with the silent tension of his own insecurities. Ava Jerome's recent threats cascade through his mind like poison. He remembers the cold gleam in her eyes when she warned that any betrayal would bring consequences he couldn't survive. At first, Rick dismissed her words as empty bluster, but the venom in Ava's voice told him otherwise. Now, he wonders if he's backed himself into a corner. Fear and defiance war within him. Betray Ava and risk her wrath, remain loyal and risk becoming her pawn. The weight of her demands crushes him, but a spark of defiance ignites. If Ava is willing to threaten him, perhaps she underestimates Rick's own capacity for retribution. He recalls Christina's recent display of controlled fury. An idea forms, dark and dangerous. If he can manipulate Christina's protective instincts, he might turn Ava's own threats back on her. With grim resolve, Rick seeks out Christina, finding her still reeling from her confrontation with Alexis's blackmailer. He approaches her with calculated calm, painting Ava as a manipulative fiend whose threats have become unbearable. He hints that Ava might be planning worse against Christina's loved ones, perhaps even her mother. The seed of vengeance takes root in Christina's mind. After all, Christina knows how to strike fast and hard, especially when her family is endangered. The plot unfolds like a fateful storm. Christina, her hands still shaking from her first attack, allows herself to be convinced that she must act against Ava to protect Alexis and, perhaps, by extension, herself. Rick watches with a cold thrill as Christina's eyes narrow, determination replacing doubt. If Christina moves against Ava, Rick's plan will be complete. Ava will believe she's cornered by both Rick and Christina, and Rick can extract his own revenge. But in the back of his mind, he knows that playing with Christina's recklessness is a gamble he may not survive. Not far away, the hospital's intensive care unit erupts into chaos. Rocco Falconeri lies on a stretcher, his face pale, his breathing labored. Cody Bell, monitoring his vitals, notices the oxygen levels plummet to a dangerous low. Without hesitation, she summons the rapid response team. Nurses and doctors flood in, their voices urgent as they spring into action: intubation, ventilation, emergency meds. As the crisis unfolds, Dante Falconeri paces the hallway like a caged animal. Every moment without news feels like an eternity. Dante's grief and fear surge into rage when he spots Gio Palmieri, who had been overseeing Rocco's care. In a flash of anguish, Dante storms forward and lands a heavy punch to Joe's jaw. "This is your fault," he snarls, voice thick with desperation. "If you'd caught it sooner, he wouldn't be fighting for his life right now." Gio staggers, but doesn't retaliate, his own guilt racking him as he tries to explain that Rocco's condition was stealthily deteriorating. But Dante's grief is deaf to reason. All he sees is the father whose child teeters at death's door. Nurses separate the men, murmuring reassurances that Rocco is stable, for now, but Dante's anguish is far from soothed. As the breathing tube slides into Rocco's windpipe and the ventilator clicks on, Dante collapses into a chair, head in hands. His prayers fill the sterile room. "Please, give him more time. Let him fight. Let me be strong enough to carry him through." It's a moment of raw humanity that strips away every professional veneer, showing a father's love laid bare. Elsewhere, in the dimly lit corridors, alliances shatter and reform in dizzying succession. Christina, fueled by Rick's manipulation, prepares to confront Ava. Alexis, shaken by Diane's counsel, wrestles with guilt over exposing her mother to blackmail. Portia and Drew stand on opposite sides of a chasm carved by betrayal. And Dante? He clings to hope amid the beeps of life-saving machinery. The forces at play are as unpredictable as they are deadly. Christina's anger could destroy Ava, or, if Rick's plan unravels, turn on Rick himself. Alexis's confession to Christina could either forge a new bond or widen the breach between mother and daughter. Brad's betrayal of Portia might give Drew the leverage he needs to win the custody battle for Scout, or it might cost him the only person he truly loves. And in the ICU, time itself becomes the enemy as Rocco's fragile body fights to stay alive. By the time the clock ticks past midnight at General Hospital, no one will be the same. Friendships will be tested in fire. Enemies will seize the moment to strike. And at the heart of it all, these characters will have to reckon with the question that defines Port Charles's most tragic tales: how far are you willing to go to protect the ones you love? Stay tuned as these storylines collide, because when the dust settles, the fallout will echo through every hallway, every operating room, and every broken heart in Port Charles. The reckoning is coming, and nothing will ever be the same. The clang of the hospital doors echoes down the corridor as Christina steels herself outside Ava's suite. Rick's whispered insinuations replay in her mind. Ava, the merciless queenpin, poised to strike at anyone who dares cross her. Christina's pulse thunders in her ears. She grips the door handle for a moment, breath caught between resolve and dread, then swings it open. Inside, Ava stands by the window, the city lights painting her in stark silhouettes. Her posture is regal, defiant, until she senses Christina's presence. She turns slowly, an amused smirk curling on her lips. "Well, if it isn't little Miss Corinthos Davis," Ava purrs. "Come to join my fan club?" Christina's fury ignites. "You've threatened my family long enough," she hisses, advancing. "You think you can intimidate Rick? Threaten Alexis, now me?" Ava's amusement fades, supplanted by icy calculation. She studies Christina like a predator evaluating prey. Ava raises a hand, voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Be careful, darling," she warns. "You don't know who you're dealing with." Christina's hand tightens into a fist. Memories of her mother's pain, Lucky's protectiveness, and Diane's warnings flood her. She lunges forward, catching Ava off guard, striking out with the kind of controlled ferocity that only someone desperate to defend family can muster. Ava stumbles backward, crashing into a side table. Perfume bottles shatter on the floor. As security alarms begin to blare, Christina slams Ava against the wall, pinning her arms. Her voice cracks on the edge of tears and rage. "Say Rick was forcing you to threaten me. Say you'll back off now." Ava's eyes widen, genuine shock for the first time in a long time flickering across her features. But Christina's onslaught is cut short by the sudden arrival of hospital guards. Christina releases Ava and slips past them, adrenaline carrying her away before she can be apprehended. In the hallway, she collapses against the wall, trembling, victorious, terrified, and irrevocably changed. Meanwhile, back in the ICU, the rapid response team's efforts have won a temporary reprieve. Rocco's oxygen levels stabilize, the ventilator's steady hiss offering a fragile promise of survival. Across the room, Dante hovers, exhaustion etched into his face. Nurses rotate at his side, offering gentle reassurances, but Dante hears only the sterile bleeps and the relentless countdown of seconds. As dawn's first light begins to filter through the blinds, Dante is joined by Lulu and Portia, both summoned by the crisis. Their presence is a balm to his raw nerves. Lulu reaches out, taking his hand. Portia offers a tight smile, shame and guilt mingling in her eyes. Dante looks up, voice hoarse. "He's strong," he whispers. "Let him fight." Portia nods, tears glinting. "He is." Her glance shifts to the closed door beyond which Brad Cooper waits, buckling under the weight of his betrayal. Soon, she knows, she'll have to face him and Drew once more. Down in the psychiatric wing, Alexis paces her office. Diane's warning reverberates in her mind, mingling with the echo of Christina's impulsive rescue. Alexis fingers the edges of the blackmail letter still clutched in her pocket, a silent testament to her vulnerability. She knows Diane is right. She's jeopardized more than her reputation, possibly her daughter's safety. Her thoughts are interrupted by the soft chime of her phone. It's Lucky's name on the screen. She hesitates, then answers. His voice is calm, reassuring. "Mom, I talked to Christina. She's shaken up, but she's safe. I made sure she's out of Ava's reach." Relief surges through Alexis, but it's tempered by worry. "Thank you," she whispers. "But what about you? You do realize this could all blow back on you." Lucky's sigh is warm with love and exasperation. "I'll handle it. Right now, you focus on Rocco and Christina. We'll sort Ava and Rick after." Alexis closes her eyes, bracing herself for another day of battles, both legal and personal. She scrolls through her emails, half expecting another threat, another reminder of the precarious balance she's trying to maintain. Elsewhere, Drew Kane stands alone in a conference room, replaying Portia's silence. The corridors outside seem emptier than ever. His mind races. If Nina Reeves is truly behind this, what does that mean for his future with Portia? For Scout's custody? For the trust he's built on shaky ground? He knows confrontation is inevitable. Sooner or later, he'll have to pry the truth from Portia's lips or turn to Nina, whose involvement could spell catastrophe for both. Drew clenches his fists, steels his resolve. If he's learned anything in Port Charles, It's that secrets have a way of destroying everything in their path. As mid-morning light streams through the hospital atrium, each of these characters faces a defining choice. Christina must decide whether to seek vengeance or mercy. Alexis must balance maternal love against professional caution. Dante must cling to tenuous hope. Portia must confront betrayal or bury it deeper. Drew must choose his next target for truth. And Rick, the greatest enigma of all, must reckon with the monster he's unleashed. And high above the city, as the sun climbs toward noon, Port Charles itself holds its breath. Because in this world of shifting alliances and explosive confrontations, redemption and ruination are two sides of the same exact coin, and any moment, that coin can flip again.